Everyone loves a rags to riches story, and there is no shortage of them, but we usually hear from larger and more famous businesses. In this podcast, Everyday Business, we focus on small to medium-sized businesses and their successes to show our audience that you do not need to be big, famous, or glamorous to be successful. Join me, attorney Danya Shakfeh, to hear stories of everyday business owners like you and me and how they built their businesses. Today we have joining us Rami Suleiman, the owner of Diamond Motorworks, a luxury car dealership located here in Lisle, Illinois, in the heart of the car dealership district in the Chicagoland area. Rami started his dealership in his parents' driveway at the age of 17 with a small loan from his dad and has since continued to grow his business from the ground up. Rami is a very interesting human and I am excited to interview him.
Thank you, Danya.
All right. First, can you tell us about yourself and
Sure.
your business, Diamond Motorworks?
Sure. Well, I've just always been a car guy growing up. Ever since I was 15 or 16, I would even buy parts for cars that I didn't even own yet because I was so looking forward to owning a car that I love. And I was first into Japanese supercars like Toyota Supras and things like that. So when I was 15 and 16, I was always business oriented. I was always searching online, and the internet at that point was just a new concept, you know? So I was always searching for cars online and researching them and collecting brochures from them and doing everything like that. And then it started when I was 16. I got my driver's license and I was obsessed with cars and driving. The first day I turned 15, I got my permit. The first day I turned 16, I got my driver's license. That's just what I wanted to do, just drive, you know? I didn't necessarily at that point think I would own a dealership. I thought I just loved selling things online and buying things online, and I was just a car guy. I just loved cars, you know? So when I was 16, with some of my friends, I would sell things on eBay, like cell phones, TVs, game consoles, PS2s, and made some extra cash on the side there when I was in high school. Plus I had a job at a bank as a teller, like a part-time job in high school. So with those things, I made a little bit of extra cash, and I was also just researching cars online, you know? And when I was 16 or 17, I was asking my dad, hey dad, I think that we're able to buy a Toyota Supra. I could get it at a good deal and I could keep it for a while, and I'm not going to really lose a lot of money when I sell it, maybe a year or two down the road, you know?
So Rami, not to cut you off, but what year was that about when you were 16 and 17? Because the internet was still pretty, this e-commerce platform was still pretty new.
2000, 2001, something in that type of range.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it was very new. You're totally right. It was very new. People were still getting newspapers to look for classified ads online, and I would get those papers sometimes and search for classified ads for cars and things like that, you know? So I remember when I was 17, my father helped me buy my first car, which was a 96 Pontiac Trans Am. It was a nice car with low miles, and I was good at searching for other items online. So I was good at searching for cars through private owners online as well. So I actually ended up finding this ad. And my, dad first wasn't too supportive of going to go buy this car since he's not a car guy and doesn't know about it. But he did put some faith in me, and him and I went and checked out this car, and I loved it. It was the right color combination. It was in excellent condition and everything. So we ended up actually buying that car. And about 2 or 3 months after I bought that car, because my dream car I wanted was the Toyota, a little bit of profit, and we could try to put that money towards a Toyota Supra or some other car or something like that. So after about 3 months, I tried and I took pictures of this car and I put it, in my parents' driveway in front of their house. Their house is a nice house. And I was able to sell it within about a month when I was 17, and I made about $3 or $4 grand on it, which was an amazing feeling.
Wow.
So based off that concept, since I love cars and I'm good at searching for them, I then used that cash to buy a Corvette. And I kind of did the same thing and drove it for a couple months and thought, this is a cool concept. I could drive nice, interesting, unique cars that I love, and I could resell them and either break even or make some profit on them. So this concept kept on going throughout college. I started to buy more cars, and I'd keep them in my parents' driveway. They have a driveway that could fit about, 7 to 12 cars. Sometimes I'd have about 12, 13 cars all in my parents' driveway.
Right.
And I would sell them on eBay. And this was when eBay Motors didn't even exist yet, almost. It was selling on eBay. So I just kept on doing this throughout college, where lots of my friends had like internships at companies and other jobs, where I was just doing this eBay business, and it was pretty fun. And I even brought some of my friends into it sometimes. They were like helping me out with it. It was pretty fun. I got to also meet people from different parts of the country. Sometimes people would fly in to buy the cars, etc. Plus, I even actually helped my dad sell his old car on eBay. Nice. That was one of my first eBay sales. So basically, that's how it first started. And after college, I had more full-time time to do this, and I had bought a small property with a partner of mine. We ended up going in halves in the property, and I was more well-versed by the internet e-commerce side of it. And he was more well-versed in the dealership, how to get a dealer's license and the paperwork and everything like that. So we both worked out of there for a couple of years, and it was great. And then I ended up selling my half of the building and leased another warehouse, and grew from there a little bit, and grew my inventory and grew my knowledge about how to do stuff online. And it kept on growing to where it is today. And
I want to take you back a little bit. So,
sure.
So you said that you had cars in your parents' driveway, and that people would fly in and come and buy the cars there. So how was it, having people come, like these strangers basically come off the internet, like especially in 2000, this is before Uber, and like to come to your parents' house? Like, did they ever think this was like a fake business, or like were they ever like unsure about the credibility?
The good thing about it, sure, that's actually a great question. And one of the most important things is for people to have trust with each other. And I was doing almost everything at that point via eBay. So eBay had a good feedback system. So most of the people I would interact with, I would already see that they have good feedback on eBay, and I'd feel more comfortable doing business with them, and they would feel more comfortable doing business with me. Because of that reason, like you're saying, sometimes people may be a little sketchy. I'm flying to buy this car. They want to make sure. I would take my eBay feedback very seriously, and I'd really do my best to build up reviews, reputation, all over the internet, which is partly why my business now is still around. People Google us all the time to see reviews, and some of those initial ones I got back in 2002 are still there. And we just can continue to just build on that via eBay feedback, via Google reviews, via Yelp, via the Better Business Bureau. So that's partly how it worked out, because of trust and feedback that you built up.
I think like one thing that I noticed, and even from my own personal experience, is that when you're starting a business, you want to have this, you want people to take you seriously. So you want to have this business feel with an office and a secretary. And so sometimes I wonder if not being able to be at that level yet, just due to the time or finances of having that more formal type of business feel, like if that will stop entrepreneurs, or if they just kind of go through that phase and kind of work their way through it. But it sounds like it didn't really stop you. And I think that's really encouraging to hear, to just kind of work with what you have, and that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, my personal advice, sometimes people want to have that stuff in a business to start just because they think it's the right thing to do. Have a secretary, have a couple employees. My advice is only get that once you see that there's a need for it. You know what I'm saying? Similar to how I first kept the cars in my parents' driveway and sold them on eBay, and I would wash and detail the cars myself and take the pictures myself. But then you start to just realize, if you want to really grow, then it actually comes in. You know what? I should probably focus on buying cars, and I can maybe get someone to take these pictures for me. And you know what? Once you get a little bigger and you realize I need to store these cars inside, I think it's best if I rent a little warehouse to keep them in. Right. And then you start to just, get that need based off actual business and e-commerce, of you just realizing, I think in order to grow, this would really help me out,
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And it's great to see a business actually go through that phase and talk about it.
Yeah, sure.
So tell me about that first day, just to go back a little bit too. So like when that, that first day, because you said at first this is not something that you planned. So then at
Yeah,
what point were you like, you know what, I'm going to make this a thing. I'm going to
sure,
just,
sure.
just, just make this my business. Do you remember that
Yeah,
day?
I had phases in college where I was gonna either go into dentistry and like I was thinking about going into the medical field. I mean, I wasn't sure exactly what I was gonna do because I wasn't sure that hobby that I did in high school and college was gonna turn into a business, But as soon as you start to realize that you get a little better at something and it's something that you like and you could make that hobby into a business, it does take away a little bit from the fun, novel aspect that I have as a hobbyist and loving cars and enthusiast, because you just deal with them so much that it takes away a little bit from that. But as soon as I started to notice that this is consistent and I'm pretty good at finding these cars, and I was building up feedback and just learning so much more about it, I thought this is a good way to create a business. And I think I've always wanted to be a businessman, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I always transacted things online and commerce. And this was a good way to bridge having a business related to something that I do love, and I'm a car guy. So that's kind of how it all came together, when there was just that moment thinking, I think I could start to build something from this, and as you are almost going to graduate college and you start to realize like that real type life hits you in reality of, yeah, I have a college degree, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to get a job. As soon as, fresh college grads start to hit that, they start to kind of process, what should I do? What should I do? And this seemed like a good thing. I mean, I know how to do this. I think I can make some money. I've already built up a little bit of this. I'll just roll with this and see where it goes.
I kind of touched on, you were thinking about going into the medical field and dentistry. Like you and me, like full disclosure to our audience, Rami is my brother-in-law. So we have a lot in common culturally too. So coming from families of immigrants, a lot of the times they want their kids to have these so-called professional degrees, often in the healthcare industry, being a doctor or a lawyer. And it seems like you had gone your own route. You want to talk about that and, what that was like and the general reaction maybe from your parents or the community and how you dealt with that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there was a small phase where I thought about going into dentistry or the medical field, but then you just realize as you take all the prereqs, people's minds are wired in different ways. You know what I'm saying? I like being able to build systems. You know what I'm saying? Whether they're business systems or whatever they are, I'm not as motivated to be hands-on in the medical field or dentistry field, and I don't like being in a medical office or a dental office. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, anything that is related to business and law fascinates me.
Mm-hmm.
The legal aspect of business does fascinate me a lot. So
right.
I did pursue graduate school and got my JD law school. So when I was about 25 years old or 26 years old, when my business was doing pretty well, I thought to myself, I may go to law school to further pursue my my business knowledge and see how I could gain new skills to help manage my business better. I didn't necessarily have aspirations of practicing law. That's not really where I saw myself, but I thought maybe I could do that as well after I finish law school, if there's something I could do that's related to both business, auto law, or something in that sort. Right. But one of the motivating factors as well that motivated me to go to graduate school, I'm not sure this is the right reason, it's probably a bad reason, but reviews in this day and age for businesses are huge, right? I mean, that's what really makes us or breaks us, right? So fortunately, knock on wood, we have hundreds of positive reviews from all over the country. There was one time where sometimes there's those type of clients that you can't satisfy no matter what, right?
Right. Oh,
so we sold, we sold a 2001 Lotus to a customer, beautiful car. It's a rare English, car. It's beautiful. Anyway, he thought that car had major problems, that we were at fault and didn't tell him about and disclosed to him, etc. So We ended up buying the car back in the end, but this guy left us some really negative reviews that had so much inaccurate info in them that it was so frustrating. I just end up thinking to myself, legally, how is this guy able to do this and leave such false reviews and false information that hurts my business? There just must be a better way.
Right.
And I started to research defamation issues and just educated myself on defamation and what legal recourse you could do for this, and that just got my mind ticking. Maybe it would be a nice, valuable tool to have a legal degree to be able to help with these situations myself and just know a bit about what's going on a little more. So even though it's maybe not the right reasons, that situation was kind of a catalyst to motivate me to go to grad school and law school. But my main purpose was to get that degree to help manage my business better and make it grow. And I think it helps me in the day-to-day.
You can sign your name at the end, like Rami Suleiman, JD, and maybe people will be like, think twice about leaving a bad review.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, when you tell someone you do have a JD, it does make them think twice a little bit. And, I don't actually practice law, a lot more about this than I do. But if I, if I do have to hire a, lawyer to do anything for me, I'll just have a better knowledge base of what's going on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So anything that could further my business with just knowledge, I'm all about it. So life's all about just learning about everything, whether it's in the business world, whether it's not in the business world, whether it's education, it's all about learning, and a business is growing. So it's really just like a plant. Like everyone talks about this, a business is like a plant. You have to water it. You have to just take care of it. You have to prune it.
Right.
It has its ups and downs. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I hear you. That's great. Thank you. I think that sometimes, I don't usually like to pull out my lawyer card, but there are definitely some like personal interactions where I've had where, especially people might look at me and see that, I'm of a certain age group or
Sure.
that I'm a minority. Sometimes you have to just be like, yeah, I'm an educated, I have a graduate degree, and unfortunately,
Sure.
that's how the world works sometimes.
Sure.
I'm really interested in learning about what were some of the biggest challenges you face in running your business that was connected to a platform that was still not as mainstream. So like we talked earlier about, eBay being still pretty new, and just the whole concept of e-commerce.
Sure.
So what were some of the challenges and how did you overcome them?
Well, similar to what you said before, lots of the challenges were getting your customers to trust you, So
Right.
Lots of people are used to buying cars from like a big new car dealership where they walk in and they have the same type of, they deal with the bargaining and haggling aspect of it, which we don't really like as much. And we have fixed pricing similar to CarMax's motto and Vroom and Carvana. It's just a cleaner way of doing business. But part of the obstacles was to get people to put trust in you. So that's why I would overemphasize a lot reviews and credibility. And that was one of the obstacles, because sometimes for my first office location, we were operating out of like a warehouse and a business park kind of, right? So when people go there, they need to feel confident. Sometimes when they walk into a warehouse or a business park, they don't feel as confident because it's not in their idea, the typical notion of buying something from
Right.
Dealership on a busy street. So that was part of the obstacles, which we were able to overcome a lot with just reviews, and sometimes there would be obstacles through the city of where to open up my dealership, because not all cities allow car sales on certain properties, and you would be up against these big dealerships that have been there for a long time that don't want internet-based dealerships coming in, taking away the business. Being able to open up a lot easier in like a warehouse district or something like that. But we were able to show the city to get proper zoning and licensing that we've done this for a while and our books are straight and everything is ethical and the cities do work with you. And one thing that I also learned is that if there's ever any obstacle to opening up in a certain city or doing businesses in a certain state, it helps to go in there and really talk to the city and meet them and show them, you know, who you are, with not just a phone call or email, because that type of stuff, I don't actually think those type of things matter as much before. But I think, you know, learning about business more and growing my business, all that stuff does matter in the end, you know?
Sure, yeah, about relationships. So, how many employees do you have now? And when did you hire your first employee?
Well, sure. So first, you know, as I was saying before, first it was just me doing this on my own. I would, you know, buy the cars and find them. I'd have them shipped and I'd wash them myself, and I'd take pictures and I'd take phone calls on them and I'd take emails. And as I got busier and I got a warehouse to fit about 20 cars or 25 cars, I thought to myself, it would be just nice to hire some help, you know? So I first hired a detailer. He would, you know, detail up the cars and we'd park him, and I would actually take the pictures of them still, you know?
How many years in business were you before you hired your first employee?
I'd say about 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't right away, but it wasn't very long either.
I'd say about 2 years, because still in college, I was kind of doing this still part-time, you know what I'm saying? Since I was going to college too full-time. So I started a detailer and hired him on full-time. And I just thought to myself, wow, that's pretty good to have that aspect of it taken care of, so I could focus on other stuff that's maybe more profitable, you know? So I started to realize, you know what, now I could hire someone else to take photos and upload those photos to our site, our website. So once I got 2 people going, I got the detailer and I got someone that takes photos and handles my back end website uploads, you know. I then at that point focused more on sales, you know, I mean sales and just managing paperwork and titles and taking care of shipping on the vehicles and transportation, etc. So once I had those 2 guys going and I had myself taking care of the buying and selling, then at that point I thought to myself, I could hire a sales guy now to take care of leads while I focus on buying. And all throughout while I was doing that, I was trying to increase my inventory base, you know. So I got that first warehouse with about 20 cars, then got a second warehouse that fits about 45 cars. Now, recently, about 4 years ago, we purchased a new showroom on Ogden Avenue, which is a busy area here, which is a little different from my previous model of my warehouses, because we didn't need a retail presence because we're doing everything online and attracting all of our customers online. And 50% of our customers buy the vehicles unseen anyway. I mean, we have a very interactive website where we have about 80 pictures of each vehicle. We have the Carfax history. So people trust us to just wire us the money or send us a cashier's check, and we just ship the car to them unseen. But for those other 50% coming in, it helps to have a nicer facility now where people have credit. I mean, people feel confident and comfortable when they come in. You have a nice waiting area, nice indoor facility. So those are all things that, yes, everything is internet-based and e-commerce, and that's the wave of the future. But there is still something to be said about comfortable brick and mortar facilities. Local people sometimes want to come in, you know. I mean, sometimes people are bored and they want to come in and they want to go through that in-person process, you know?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I know that you recently built a more retail style place, and it's right in the heart of where you see all the car dealerships, kind of right next to, I'm not sure which ones I remember, but like Mercedes, I think there's a Tesla, Toyota, and all of them, they're all on there.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that's really amazing. So do you feel like it's helped to have that presence? Do you feel like your business has increased? Do you feel like?
I think it has. So the way I analyzed that showroom purchase, which I think any business, I think 70% of the time it's worth it for a business to lease their property versus buy it, you know, in my personal opinion. That's why some major corporations, most of them lease their properties in real estate. Walgreens does that. I believe Costco does that. A lot of corporations lease, a lot of businesses lease, you know. But on this situation, I felt it was worth it after I crunched the figures and the numbers. I was still doing the warehouse concept at a retail facility that we're at now. So any type of increased business is just a bonus. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it does help because even when people see us online, it's easier for them to find us when they come in. We're on just the main street, and it helps, people just feel more comfortable coming in.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a different type of showroom, but it's still, I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, it's really nice. I've been there a few times, and
Yeah, thank you.
it's really nice.
Thank you.
And I think I have a couple more questions.
Sure.
So this is kind of more of a personal curiosity question. So like, given that you deal with high-end luxury cars, I would imagine that you meet a lot of interesting people with money. What was the most surprising profession or person that you met? Like you walked in and you're like, no way this person can afford $100,000 car, and you walk in with like a wad of cash and walk right out. Like,
I mean, we've dealt with a lot of pro athletes before. We dealt with some pro hockey players and some pro basketball players, and we sold a Mercedes S-Class to Paramount Pictures that was used in the 50 Cent movie, Get Rich or Die Trying. The royal family of Bahrain bought a car from us about a year ago. Sometimes, they have like their princes and their employees searching for cars for them, so they had purchased a car. So we see some interesting people come in sometimes, and you're right. Some people that you would think, may not be into these high-end luxury cars, they just are. And sometimes people get financed and sometimes people pay cash. And, one thing that I will add as well, it really helped to be in business for a while. So you get some assistance from banks in terms of helping, of banks offering financing options to our customers, because it takes a while for businesses to trust you enough to offer financing services. So that really helps to be a dealership where the customers could get finance. We have shipping products, we have service contracts and warranties. So that's something you do learn to get some of that back end profit on it too,
Yeah. No, that's really good advice. Things that people don't really think about.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this question I have for you is, if you could give your 17-year-old self some advice, what would it be?
All right. I would say that when I was younger and, there's a client or customer that says something that's rude or that is just unfair or false, it's not worth it to argue with clients or customers at all. In the end, it's not going to really get you anywhere except a possible bad review or extra hassle or extra effort, while you could be using that same energy towards focusing on profitable activities like growing your business even further. So even though I was always courteous and nice, sometimes I'd want to argue things that I feel very passionate about or that I felt I was being wronged. Objectively speaking, this is wrong, but it doesn't really matter in the end. It's just good to just move on and focus on the things that are more profitable and growing for your business,
Yeah. I think
and
that's really
always,
good advice.
and always do what you love and what's fun for you. And I think the profit and growth will come on its own naturally, but you first got to do something that you're fascinated by, So I am fascinated by business in general, and the car business and law and all that is kind of related, with just contracts and everything. So just do what's fascinating to you, and growth and profit and income will then come,
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you so much again for your time. And this was a great interview and I really appreciate it. So thank you.
No problem, Danya. Thank you.
All right.